Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers review weekend briefing. It's your match day briefing ahead of Rangers League Cup quarter final against Hibs at Ibrox this evening. Oh, I wonder what is going to go down Ibrox way tonight. Yes, it should be interesting, both on and off the park, to look forward to that game and discuss some of the news lines from Friday afternoon. Johnny McFarlane joins me. How's it going, Johnny?
Great, Derek. Always a delight to be back on the show with your good self.
Yes, is the correct answer. So there you go. Incidentally, when we were both on Sunday, the numbers of you tuning in were crazy, really. So thank you to you all for tuning in. We were up bright and breezy on Sunday morning to discuss the debacle that unfolded at Ibrox on Saturday. Let's hope for something more positive this evening. Just before we dive into our predicted teams, what Russell Martin had to say in his press conference, Johnny, what's the optimism like with regards to you? Do you think that they're capable of getting the better of a Hibs team who are unbeaten so far this season?
I would say that Hibs are the favourites based on what I've seen so far this season. That's the first thing. Hibs' underlying metrics are really, really strong. Josh has been mentioning it to me that in terms of set pieces, Hibs especially, I think amongst the best in the league. I've talked to the guys that I know who run various Hibs websites, and they're all saying that Hibs have primarily come undone this season so far through individual mistakes. It's not been mistakes system. It's been guys at the back putting a bad pass forward that's been intercepted or a goalkeeping mistake. Certainly that was the case in the games that I saw in Europe at the start of the season, which were on the telly. For Hibs, they just seem to keep on shooting themselves in their own foot. But when they're going forward, they look like a good side. And Josh Mulligan, they've got one of the best young Scottish players in the league, a player that we know Rangers should have signed, that could have signed, that was sealed, signed, and almost delivered, but not quite. So that's one to watch out in terms of his engine and his power and the way he runs over the top of people. Will he play on the right wing back, or will he play in central midfield? I think that's a big question for Hibs at the moment. But in terms of that game, it probably just goes to show how far this team have dropped, whereby a game against Hibs at Ibrox, many Rangers supporters are feeling that really Rangers aren't the favourites. No. And I think that's justified based on the performances so far. Rangers at the moment, 5 games in, are a lower mid-table SPFL outfit. And that's inarguable. That's the data. That's the eye test. Everything shows that. So it's going to be a big task. And if Russell Martin has any chance of turning this around, I don't think he does, to be honest. But if he's going to have any chance whatsoever, he has to win. It's as simple as that. Going out to Hibs would surely be the end of the incredible backing that he has had from this board.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think Rangers deservedly are where they are in the table. They could be bottom by the time they return to league action in the Premiership against Livingston. Incidentally, Hibs defeated Livingston 2-0 to make it to this stage of the competition. Rangers, of course, not at their scintillating best as they beat Alloa by 4-2. So, it will be interesting to see how Saturday unfolds later on tonight. Before the game, Johnny, there's going to be a protest, of course, organised by the Union Bears. It was interesting hearing from, this week, the Rangers Fan Advisory Board coming out, meeting with Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell. We've had the Rangers Supporters Association making an updated statement on their displeasure at the situation. 4:30 outside the main entrance of the main stand. I very much expect a huge number of supporters to be voicing their unhappiness at how this season is unravelling. That's going to be certainly interesting, given as well that Andrew Kavanagh has jetted over for this game.
Yeah, and I think that'll be important, but even more important and perhaps even more penetrating for Andrew Kavanagh will be how many people actually attend the game in the first place. If you've got an Ibrox that only has 20,000 in it, Derek, and I've been there. I remember going one night to Ibrox for a game against St Johnstone at the sort of maybe the nadir of the entire banter years period. A 1-0 win with actually a terrific goal by Lewis McLeod, if I remember correctly, maybe an overhead kick. It was a League Cup game midweek, and I think it was about 12,500 there. And Ibrox is a haunting place where it's like that.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be too much different against Hibs. Why people would turn up when the team is playing such turgid, dull, boring stuff. You're relying on people just to come along and pay their money without having to engage their brain at the moment. So I think you're going to see that, and you're going to see it writ large. And for me, that will have more impact even than the protests, because the protests are one thing, but when you talk about the financial impact of 30,000 people deciding to stay at home for a quarter-final, that bites.
It does. That's for sure. Right, let's dive into some of the news ahead of the game this evening. We discussed on yesterday's show when we had Blair and Chris on about the press conference from Russell Martin. I think the headline news is that Nico Raskin back in the squad. Whether he starts or not is another matter. And he also was discussing the criticism that has been levelled at him this week. Certainly, he wasn't too well last week. Had a bit of the flu. His daughter's been in hospital on a human level. Wish her well. Hopefully, she's on the mend. But he appeared a broken man last week. And much of that, he says, was down to an illness that he had. But as well as that, I'm going to play you a clip, folks, where he talks about Patrick Stewart and the support that he's got from the powers that be. Here he is.
Each other every day because he's down here and we're at the training ground. But I said to Patrick, it's really, I think this club has been used by some individuals over the last however long to come here and progress their career. To have the status of being attached to the football club in the city, enjoy that. And I think there's been a lot of people come and go that have had that bit of it and enjoyed that bit of it. And in Patrick, in the ownership, in Kevin, you've got people that actually really care about making this club sustainable and successful again. And to do it in a way that the club continues to have some success. So we know it's going to take some work to get back to that. And I think when you're in a role that I'm in, Patrick's in, of course you're always going to be, if it's not going so well, you're always going to be a target of frustration. But what I would say to people is he genuinely really cares about the people here. He genuinely really cares about trying to give the club something to build from. And also he didn't inherit a place that was really flying and ticking along and the culture's great and all that stuff. So I think it takes time, again, off the pitch to change things and to... especially with the level of scrutiny that you have. So my impression of Patrick, the owners, Kevin, the people in leadership are good people, honest people that are not here to be attached to the fame and the level of importance or status you have with this job. They're here to actually come and make a big difference and to try and help this club not have the problems that it's had in the past. So it's I'm sure it's frustrating for him as it is for me. But also, I think he's a strong enough character to do it. Otherwise, you don't find yourself at a club that he was at for a long, long time, and also a club like this in the first place. So I think inside the building, he has a huge amount of support, as I feel I do as well right now. So ultimately, we can't control the rest, and he's a more experienced and wise man than me with all the experience he's got. That's a nice way to say he's much older than me, but... I'm sure he's more than capable of dealing with all of that. And as I said, he's been really consistent. And I think in a leadership role, that's all you want, is consistency. And ultimately, we have to win matches. And come the end of the season, hopefully that noise has died down because we've done well.
There you go, Jonny. I wonder who he's getting at, the individuals that have used Rangers as a bit of a stepping stone.
Just absolute rubbish, Derek. Absolute rubbish. I don't like that in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
Russell Martin's not earned the right to be throwing stones at people.
No.
He is 5 games in. He's sitting 10th in the league. He has been humiliated in the Champions League qualifying round against Bruges. A 6-0 defeat going on 10-0. He doesn't know what happened before when he wasn't here. So to be throwing stones at the people that were running the club before, whether that be James Bisgrove or Stuart Robertson or the board, whoever he's aiming that at,
yeah,
it's just ridiculous. He hasn't earned the right, and he doesn't know what was going on. So he's in no place to be firing out barbs at anyone. And I don't know who's advising him or what they're saying to him, why they would think this would be a good strategy to go down, throwing out these cryptic barbs. It doesn't deflect anything away from the reality of where we are right now. And the reality is this manager hasn't been good enough, and the fans are in open revolt because of the performance on the pitch.
Yeah,
I find it utterly baffling as a PR strategy. I don't know why he's done that. It strikes me as a kind of line that's been thought about beforehand. Clearly, someone said something to him about previous people that have been in the job. But I think one thing we can say about the previous people who were there is, certainly in the case of the boards, you know, they weren't there doing it because they wanted fame around the city. They were doing it because they're Rangers fans. And they were trying to protect the club from spiffs who had previously owned it and were milking it for every penny it was what they could. So, you know, I don't think you can be so imprecise when you're saying things like that. And as I say, he hasn't earned it, and it doesn't deflect from anything. So, just bizarre as far as I'm concerned. Don't know what you think, Derek.
I thought it was a bit weird. Actually, when I heard it, I was thinking, is he having a go at James Bisgrove since he was discussing the CEO, and Bisgrove's been there in the past, but he would have departed long before even Patrick Stewart came in there, wasn't it? Because it was a number of months before Rangers got a CEO in there. So
James Bisgrove left nearly a year and a half ago. I mean, what?
So I don't know. I don't know what he's been fed, and I don't know why he feels it's right in a public press conference to come out with stuff like this. It just seems a bit bizarre, but there you go. Talking about weird things that has been uttered in press conferences, we'll turn our attention to the other side of the city, because something interesting that Brendan Rodgers uttered in his press conference, and I'll flash up what he had to say, folks, and then we'll give our views on it. He said, I have some issues around the moral aspect when I see people commenting on. He's talking about Russell Martin, how he's doing, and not that long ago they were stood in his shoes or sat on the bench. So I don't like that. When I see a manager being pulled up on certain parts of the game, certain tactics of the game, that not so long ago other people couldn't work that out either. So for him, everything is on him. He'll be stronger for it. He's got a bit of experience behind him. So right, he's not named the guys per se, but he's clearly having a go at Barry, Neil McCann, Billy Dodds, Alan McGregor, perhaps. I've not seen Alan McGregor come out. I've not even seen Neil McCann, Billy Dodds, and Barry Ferguson, of course, are active in the media game. But he's sort of trying to show his support for Russell Martin, I guess, and have a bit of a dig at the guys that were there previously. No idea why. He also said, incidentally, folks, that he took Celtic on a team-building exercise this week that wasn't in the media as well. What's he getting at here, Johnny, do you think?
Listen, Brendan Rodgers also said at the start of the presser that he's sick of the Celtic in crisis narrative. Yeah. And what better way to move on from that than to throw a few sardines into the sea for the seagulls to chomp up. And that's all this is. You know, Brendan Rodgers, and I'm imagining quite a lot of people on this show who are watching it don't particularly like Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's rivalry, football rivalry. The thing is, Brendan Rodgers is a complete level above in terms of his media manipulation, anything else in Scottish football. And what he's doing here is he's controlling the narrative. He's moving the story on. He's moving on what the pundits and the columnists and the fans are going to be talking about. And here we are talking about it right now. We're talking about a Celtic manager's press conference on the Rangers Review, which is not something that we normally ever do.
No.
So again, it's about a very, very clever manager deciding before he goes in what the message is and penetrating with a really, really sharp message, a sharp barb at Barry, at Neil, and clearly as well, who have all been talking in the media about their time at the club, which is totally understandable. Listen, we've been quite critical of the period. I don't think it was better than it had been under Philip Clement even before, which was unacceptable as well. But at the same time, these guys did get the better of Brendan Rodgers in their short time at the club in the matches between the two. And And perhaps there's still a little bit of tension there over things that went on. I don't know. But there's certainly a situation there. And Brendan Rodgers knows this, Derek, that Rangers fans, it doesn't help Russell Martin with Rangers fans that the Celtic manager is out in the media defending him. And Brendan Rodgers knows that.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win scenario for him. He's able to act as an overseer, as the big guy in Scottish football. And Alex Ferguson used to always do this as well. The main man, the kind of top dog, dishing out advice and explaining why the situation is the way it is in other clubs. And it positions Rodgers in such a way that's very clever, very cute, and you have to say you would want the Rangers manager to be doing the same thing. So it's not a criticism of that at all.
Yeah, he wouldn't be saying that if his team were 9 points in front of their arch rivals and coasting things as it looks like at the moment. So, I long for the day Rangers can put a bit of pressure on Celtic, but that certainly does not look like it's going to be the case this season, unfortunately. So, that interesting stuff from the press conferences. Of course, Nico Raskin, he said he's going to be back in the squad, Johnny. We're going to bring up our predicted teams. Well, the teams, we'll start off with mine, right? Because I know it's going to start a lot.
Listen, I know this is going to be 4-4-2 in direct. I just know it.
Incidentally, folks, this is my team. If I was,
I hope you've got 4 centre halves along the back line. That's what I want. I want to see a Walter style.
Well, I'm going to disappoint you. I'm going to disappoint you, but I have gone 4-4-2. So if I'm getting the call by Andrew Kavanagh to take over the team and fly me up to Ibrox, this is how I'm starting the Rangers 11 today. So 4-4-2. So bang on, Johnny. 10 points for that. Just because he conducted the press conference, and I've got no issue with him between the sticks. I've got Liam Kelly in there. Although Jack Butland, as Chris mentioned on the show yesterday morning, has been Rangers' best player so far. But no issue. And incidentally, I thought Kelly spoke well in his press conference also. We might touch on that. But a back four: Tavernier, Suter, Cornelius and Magoma. I've got Finlay Curtis coming in and Jedi Gassama on the left-hand side. Raskin and Rothwell. The reason I've got Rothwell in there, I might touch on this as well, Johnny, is because of it was interesting to hear Barry Douglas's comments, ex-teammate of Rothwell's at Blackburn Rovers, and saying that he's not been played in his more favoured position, which is in a more advanced role as a number 8. So I would like to see Raskin as a sort of in there as in 6, Rothwell pushing on. I just would like to see it. Front 2 is obvious, Chermiti and Miovski. Now, I know Chermiti came off the bench, didn't exactly win fans over, but I'm not at the stage of writing him off into his a cameo we've seen him in a Rangers jersey just yet. But I very much hope that those 2 guys up front get service, because if they don't, then you can forget it. We may as well just go home and don't bother taking part in the game today. But that is my team. Thoughts on a 4-4-2? Do you think we'll ever see that from Rangers this season, Johnny?
Nah, and I think it's really unwise to play a 4-4-2 against Hibs, because they do have 3 men across the midfield. They play a 3-5-2 every single time, Derek. And I think that 4-4-2 would be overrun in midfield, and you'd lose the game in the midfield. I think Rothwell and Raskin would be overrun. Curtis and Gassama are not the kind of players to come inside really and help out. So you have to be very, very good on the wings and force them back through combinations between the wide players. And get at Hibs. But you'd be relying on those 2 midfield men against 3, and I don't think Rangers are quite ready for that yet. That said, who knows? I mean, listen, Diego Simeone has had a lot of success over the years with 4-4-2 and going back to a kind of more solid formation like that. And who's to say it wouldn't work for Rangers? But you just don't see it that often now.
I think we'll see it.
I'm kind of not used to it in modern football because I don't watch a lot of it.
Yeah, let's bring up your team then, Johnny, because I think this is probably going to be more likely the starting 11. You've got the 3-5-2 then. Interestingly, you've got Emmanuel Fernandez in that back line. His last appearance was in the League Cup, scored on his debut as well against Alloa. That was his debut, wasn't it? Before the or after the St Mirren game? I can't quite remember. Yeah, you've got a back three of Fernandes, Suter, and Cornelius. I can't say I don't dislike that. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Tav and Magoma helping out a midfield of Raskin, Rothwell, Asgard with a front two pairing of Youssef, Chermiti, and Miovski.
Let me talk you through this, Derek.
Yeah.
So why have I gone for Fernandes? Well, because Kieran Bowie is going to be playing for Hibs. And one thing we know about Kieran Bowie is when he's on it, number one, he's a terrific player. But number two, really physical, will work the back line, will win headers. And everything that I've seen of Giga so far, mate, just to me doesn't look like a guy comfortable with physical confrontation. And like, listen, we don't know about Cornelius yet. It's too early. The word from Marseille in French football, he was decent in that regard. But Manny Fernandes has been playing in League One, knows all about the roughy, tufty stuff. Is that even a word? I may have made that up. Rough and tumble stuff. And I think that if you're wanting somebody to come in and do that, then he, at 3.5 million, should be that guy. And if he's not, there should be an inquiry about why he's not. Now, I've been told that Fernandes, the key reason that he was brought in was because of his ability in the air, his ability to deal with physical players. So that's why I'm putting him in there to have a look at him. Now, it might be that that's wrong, might be that he's not good enough. Well, that would be on the recruitment team and the manager for okaying such a big transfer. But I think this back three against Hibs, it gets the best out of them. Cornelius has got a left foot. He can move the ball well. Suter can stride forward from that kind of sweeper role into midfield if he needs to. He can mop up behind those two who should be going and winning the ball and looking after Bowie. It allows Tavernier and Magoma to burst forward, to get in behind, to push right up almost as wingers. And then between Asgard, Raskin and Rothwell, they should win that midfield battle. There's enough quality in there. People might say you've left out Diamande. Derek, yep. I'm a big fan of Mohamed Diamande. I think he's a terrific player. I think Rangers will make a lot of money when they go to sell Mohamed Diamande. But let me tell you this, there's more than a whiff of the Brahim Hemdani about this lad.
There's a player.
Now, Brahim Hemdani was a terrific player, but he just wasn't suited to Scottish football and wasn't used in Scottish football. And we all remember how good Brahim Hemdani was on the run to Manchester in 2007, 2008. And he was used in every game. But he was rarely used in domestic fixtures. And more, when I see Diamande in the rough and tumble of Scottish football, I say to myself, is this guy, what's going on with this guy? Is he just not liking the hurly-burly? I mean, we know he's good enough because against Celtic in Europe, he looks terrific. So that's why I'm leaving him out of here. I'm going for guys in Rothwell and Asgard that perform in the Championship for a large proportion of their careers. Physicality shouldn't be an issue for them. And we know Nico Raskin absolutely laps that up. Now, there's questions about his tactical discipline, and that's something he'll have to show. But I still like him as number 6 a lot more than I like Rothwell, and it allows Rothwell to push forward. We saw in his little cameo against Aberdeen, when it comes to moving forward with the ball quickly, that's something he's very good at. And perhaps, with Rothwell, we will start to see the best of him if he gets moved forward. And, he's just not looked fully fit, has he? So, hopefully now, despite the fact he got a knock and had to come off in that game against Hearts, I think I said Aberdeen earlier, didn't I? Dope. He's able to come back in and show what he's capable of. One thing I would say, I back the signing of Rothwell, Derek, and Asgard too. I think they're both good players, and I think you can already see that in the games that they've played. It's just about putting them into a formation that brings the best out of them. Yeah. So if you have those two there, and then Chermiti and Miovski up front, Chermiti is 6'4" and should provide a really, really good physical presence. Miovski is also physically strong, but can run in behind and has pace. That's a good partnership. I really like the look of this team, Derek. I think it's got everything. There's so much there to get behind. Whether or not Russell Martin will go to a back three or not, I've felt for a long, long time that a back three is the answer in Scottish football. Allows you to get 2 strikers up, allows you to get the full-backs pushed, the wing-backs pushed right up, almost like auxiliary wingers if you're Rangers or Celtic. Allows your sweeper to step into midfield if required. And, you know, I think it's a really good, flexible formation. Something that I've been arguing about, like, privately with Josh and Adam for quite a long time. They've always kind of felt that the problem is in the build-up with 3 players, you've not got enough people in front of the ball. But I think even they are starting to see the benefits of this. Now, I think the other thing I would say, Derek, just finally, I like Tavernier in that Fernandes role. I like him as a right centre-back. And I'll tell you why. I think if you're pushing high up, you need people with pace. And people will probably say to that, well, Tavernier's not as quick as he used to be. He's lost a yard or two. He's still really quick for a centre-back. And I think he gives you a sort of level of tactical flexibility as well if he's there. So the problem is you need somebody who can play at right wing back who's full of confidence, and I don't think Max Aarons is in that place right now, and Dujon Sterling is still obviously unfit. But as time goes on, I think Rangers have more options to mess about with different options in there. But I'd like to see Fernandes because of the physical prowess that he has against Kieran Bowie.
I would just like to see him because, like you said, Rangers are spending an awful lot of money on him, and he wasn't even in the squad last week, wasn't he? If I'm not mistaken, I'm not too sure if there's an underlying issue there, but get him in. Let's see what he's all about. The issue for me is, and I do like that team, I've got to admit, is creating opportunities, and Rangers have failed to do that under Russell Martin. We mentioned earlier on, they're 10th for a reason. They're shipping goals easily, and they're not creating anywhere nearly enough. Only Livingston and Dundee have averaged a lower XG than Rangers after 5 league games. Great piece from Joshua on the website earlier on this week, which is just, said it before, we're in alien territory for this Rangers team. That's all right if you're a Dundee, a St Mirren. No disrespect to St Mirren, Stephen Robinson's done a great job there, but provincial clubs should be posting that sort of data, not Rangers with the players that Russell Martin has at his disposal. There is no excuse not to create and not to have scored a goal in open play, certainly in the league. Today, Hibs, of course, you mentioned Bowie. I think they'll certainly fancy it. I think you're quite right in saying that they're the favourites. Incidentally, David Gray is someone that Russell Martin might look towards and going, well, there is someone that was under serious pressure, probably this time last season, Jonny, and there was a lot of calls for him and for the Hibs board to make a change and dispose of him and get someone else in. He then embarked on that tremendous run. I think he got the dreaded vote of confidence, if I'm not mistaken, and they're flying now. Could that happen at Rangers?
No, I think it's gone too far, Derek. You know, the fans weren't keen on having Russell Martin, as he said himself in the last press conference post-match after Hearts, and they needed to see something quite quickly that allowed them to get on board with what he's trying to do. And I just don't see how it would be possible for him to create the relentless winning machine that he would need to create that changes it now. My feeling on the whole Russell Martin thing is that a guy who's very good at interviews and doesn't have the CV behind him to get the job has been able to talk his way into a job that he's just not ready for. If you look at the style of football he implemented at Milton Keynes Dons, he did that with almost no pressure. You go to Swansea, another club, without the kind of pressure that you would feel at Rangers. I'm not saying that's a small club. I think Swansea are probably a mid-tier English side.
A positive result at a club like Swansea.
Yes, exactly. And that you go to Southampton and all of a sudden in the Championship with the Premier League parachute payment, there's more pressure there. But he came fourth and got up via the playoff. I don't think that's enough to be getting the Rangers manager job. And again, Southampton, it's just not that kind of club where there's the same level of relentless pressure that there is at Rangers. You look at, there's plenty of managers out of work that have actually won the Championship, and people wouldn't accept Billy Davis as the Rangers manager, but Billy Davis has got a far better record in the Championship than Russell Martin. Now, Russell Martin is 39 years old. He's a young manager, and you're going to expect there's a level of growth that's going to come to him and with him at a club this size, the first time he's been at a truly big club. But I don't think Rangers is the club for a guy of his level. I don't see it in press conferences. I don't see it on the pitch. I just don't see it. I'm like, every other member of the media, every other fan that watches these games, that watches Rangers closely. There's nothing there to suggest that this is going to work. I understand the club's position, because what they're saying is, we've gone down this route before of changing and chopping and changing and chopping, and nothing's changed. But that doesn't mean to say that it's not the right thing to do in this occasion, when you get it wrong.
Yep.
Russell Martin, I think, has had a remarkable level of backing from the American owners. I think he's had patience. And it's just simple now, Derek. He needs to start winning. And if he doesn't do it against Hibs, I think what you're going to see is not rage, but more apathy from the Rangers fans. And I think the kind of level of attendance that you're going to see at Ibrox on Saturday is going to be reflected more and more. And that will affect the Europa League passes. It will affect the attendances in those games. I think that those will be very poor. And any cup games that come after that. And that would be really, really damaging from a Rangers financial point of view, but also really damaging to see the kind of the schism that would mean between the players and the fans, and the club and the fans. And I think we all know that when Rangers are all together, it's a real force. It's a force to be reckoned with. Never has that been better exemplified than the run to the Europa League. That the fans and the team together as one.
Yeah.
And those games at Ibrox against Braga, against Red Star, against Leipzig, Dortmund as well. I mean, Dortmund was incredible. Sorry, I shouldn't have left that one out. That was a 12th man job, and that's about synergy, and it's about connection. And Rangers need someone that can bring that about, and someone that understands the league, and someone that understands the task and understands the club and the DNA. And I don't think they have that right now. So until they do, I think there's going to be more pain ahead.
It would be an incredible turnaround if he can do that, but I just don't see it. Incidentally, I mentioned Liam Kelly earlier. I'll just read a really insightful quote in his press conference. He says, we're not even at the detailed part yet for the manager. We're not even applying the principles of what he is saying. It comes down to us. We've got a lot of good players, internationals who are more than capable of playing top-level football. It's not as if the manager is saying, I am only playing this way and sticking with it. He is constantly tweaking and making adjustments tactically to try and give us the best chance of winning the game. I get fans are not happy. Absolutely, they're not happy. I'm not happy. I am raging watching us as a team not winning the game. The only thing that gives me the slight comfort is so is he. It's not as if he is happy watching this either. It's nowhere near the level he expects either. If that was not the case and the manager was not desperate to get it right, then that would be more concerning. As long as he is desperate to get it right, then we will be with him. So that is what Liam Kelly had to say on Russell Martin. If you've not watched his press conference, folks, you can go and watch it over on the YouTube channel alongside the Rangers head coach as well. How do you see it going, Jonny, tonight? Rangers winning?
No, I don't. I've got to be honest. I can see it being a draw and then Rangers going out on penalties or going out in extra time. Hibs have beaten some good sides already this season in their Europa run. And I know it was cut short eventually, but they played good teams. Midtjylland are a good side. Partizan Belgrade, who they got past.
It's a great game, Legia Warsaw. Incidentally, I was in an Uber recently, and it was a Polish driver, and he's a Legia fan, and he praised Hibs as well. He said they gave him a right good old fright in that game. So, I
actually think Hibs should have gone through in that game. Watching it, I think they were the better side in that second leg, but they just ran out of steam towards the end, and they weren't in their own stadium, which is a real advantage, obviously. And at that point, and you saw that when Rangers against Fenerbahce, Mourinho's side had Rangers well and truly on the ropes in that game, and you were hanging on. But ultimately Ibrox pushed them over the line in those penalties. I've never heard Ibrox like that, with the exception of maybe the Dortmund game. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the Leipzig game, but because you were there instead, I think, weren't you?
No, I was in Spain for it.
Oh, so you were. So it was Josh that was there. Yeah. It was absolutely deafening for those penalties. Again, it comes back to that idea of that synergy between the fans all together, looking at something big, a really big achievement. Putting Jose out on his backside that night was quite something.
Incidentally, Jose's at Benfica now.
I saw it. It was interesting, Derek, because he was talking about coming back to where it all started for him. I think he only lasted 4 months or something like that, didn't he? The first time he was at Benfica, because people forget he's been there before. He was there before he was at Porto.
Yep.
And it's his club. I think it's Benfica's. It's where he started out and where he wanted to be, and it was almost a little bit emotional, obviously, talking about being back there. And Benfica's a huge club. But I saw him saying that he's now less egocentric and he's now more conscious of like bringing other people joy. And I think a lot of people will look at that, Derek, and think, they'll roll their eyes and think, what was he talking about? What a lot of claptrap. But actually, I kind of saw that at Ibrox. He was obviously really, really disappointed to go out the Europa League that night, and you would expect him to be disappointed. But even on the walk from the dressing rooms to the press room, now the new press room at Ibrox, you have to come across the actual concourse of the main stand, and he was stopping to take selfies with people and smiling with Rangers fans, and actually a couple of guys on the way into the press room.
Stevie being one.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought to myself, wow, like not many people, especially guys of his stature, would stand for that after they'd been pumped out of the Europa League. And he sat down, and it was the best press conference I've ever been involved in, Derek, in terms of just like 10 minutes of pure gold. Every single question, brilliant answer. Guy completely owned the room, like charisma coming out of everywhere.
Yeah.
And listen, I wish him well. I think he's phenomenal. I've always loved Jose Mourinho. And I hope that we can see a wee career resurgence where he maybe just gets the right club and it kind of clicks from again.
It'll be interesting. Of course, it puts to bed the idea that Rangers can somehow attract him to Ibrox. I know when we were on last Sunday, there was a lot of comments saying, go and get Jose, because I think at that point he was, I think he'd maybe left Fenerbahce or was about to leave. But I can see him doing well back in Portugal. I think he's admitted himself that it was the wrong move for him going over there to Turkey. It certainly raised a few eyebrows at the time. I wonder as well if
Turkey is one of these places that people go and they always regret it. It's like, it's not maybe Gorgi Hadji, and he's like the only one that went there and had a good time. People always seem to leave and say, "Oh, I wasn't so keen on the football there."
Yeah,
which is odd, because there's some huge clubs, especially in the Istanbul neck of the woods.
Yeah, the fan base is crazy. But I wonder if the Benfica job might lead him on to big shouts at times for him to take over the national team job at Portugal. I wonder if at some point he'll do that as he gets older in his years. 62 now is Jose, but he's the Grand Master, isn't he? Right, that will do us there. A big thank you to Jonny and to you all for tuning in to this show and the build-up to the League Cup quarter-final. We'll have all your usual coverage, folks, from outside of Ibrox. We'll actually be outside when that protest is scheduled to take place at 4:30 as well. And then we'll have your team news reaction video as well as the post-match as well. So if you're not making it along to Ibrox, then you can stay tuned and we'll get you covered with all that's going to take place this evening. Right, big thank you to Jonny and to you all. And hopefully your team wins. Bye for now.